everyone. Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. This is Week in Review number 32 in 2020, where we look at some of the text messages sent from last week. We analyze them and see what could be done better, what is good, and then so that you can use this information to improve your own text messages. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. But before we do that, let me tell you where I'm getting these text messages. It is smsarchives.com. That has over 100 brands. We're tracking all of their text messages. Over 1,000 text messages have been archived. A great resource for people that are doing text message marketing and people that are interested in text message marketing. Definitely check it out, smsarchives.com. All right, let's jump into it. So the first one we have today is Uncommon James. So this one is an MMS message. You can tell because there's an image above the text. If there's an image below the text, most likely that's a link preview. So great image. I like how it's vertical rather than horizontal because the model, is vertical. It's from here to here. So it's good that it's vertical. If it was this way, she would be really squished up. So it's really good that they've chosen that. Now with an MMS message, you can choose either vertical or horizontal. If you're advertising hot dogs, horizontal. If you're doing a model, I would do most of the time, unless she's laying this way or he is laying this way. If they're standing up and down, you do vertical. So great use of the MMS or the MMS image in this case. So Uncommon James, so excited to announce that we just launched Uncommon James X Diff, a specially curated collection of eyewear and jewelry designed by Kristen Cavalieri. Be one of the first to see it, and then they have the link below. So the link below is actually a link preview. So on the iPhone, what you're seeing is the iPhone is going to the link, pulling the image from the web page, and then putting it on or in the text message. For me personally, I don't have any actual evidence of this, but I believe this is true just by looking and kind of experiencing text messaging campaigns myself. If you're using an MMS image or a GIF or a video, what I like to do is put the link in the text message and make it not previewed, so that it's easier to see. Because for me, maybe I would think that I can click the top one or I can click the bottom image, but really you can only click actually the bottom image that takes you somewhere. So I like to put the link just as a blue link without the preview, and then keep the image at the top. It makes it really clear what's the image and then what is the call to action. Another thing they could do here is use line breaks, so they can separate out the text, maybe use some emojis, kind of mix things up. But I like it. It's a good message, and it draws my attention in with that image, and there's something new to see. Be the first one of the first to see it, so you're like, oh great, I want to see this. And with 90% of text messages being opened within 3 minutes, the people on your text list will definitely see it first. Okay, we got Gino's Pizzeria. Gino. So most brands we're seeing nowadays are starting with their brand name, as you saw in the previous one. So Gino's is the same. Now, some people are shortening their name because you only have 160 characters in a text message. So this one is Gino's instead of Gino's Pizzeria. So it saves them some characters. Hockey in August deserves pizza. 15% off your entire online order, expires 8/8. Then they have the link, and there's no link preview because there's text after the link. And then it says help stop call. A lot of questions lately about, do I need to put stop instructions in a text message? Well, the CTIA and the carriers, they say that you need to put stop instructions in text messages at least once per month. You can put it more if you want, but you need to do it at least once per month. One thing I would do here is line breaks again. The expiration date can be pushed down a few line breaks. The link, you could push down a few line breaks. Also, maybe I like, when it says like click here, order here with the link. So kind of like, why am I clicking this link? Because right now there's no, it says entire online order, but what does that link do? Does it go to your Facebook, Instagram? I would assume it goes to online ordering. But with text messaging, just even the assumption that it does something is going to lose conversion rate, which then would reduce your ROI for text messaging. And then help, stop, call, all that stuff can be shoved at the very bottom. of the message with, a couple line breaks. That would be one. I'd be even okay with, 3 line breaks or 2 line breaks to really separate it out, as long as you're not purposely misleading the consumer and trying to put it so far below that they won't see it. But it definitely does not have as much prominence as, the click here or, the offer promo code, the expiration date. None of those, or all of those are more important than help, stop, call. So, that's pretty much it. They could also make it a little more clear too. You don't need to call that phone number to stop the messages. So what I would do is text stop to end or text stop for stop, help for help, and then they reply help. Then they get a message if they reply help with the phone number, the email address, more information on the campaign, things of that nature. I don't think you need to put all that stuff in there. Again, it kind of, with line breaks, it helps, but there are some things in there you don't need, to put in there. Anyway, good message. Next one, Kylie Skin and Cosmetics. Again, this is one that, I think the official brand name is Kylie Skin and Cosmetics, and they are shortening it down to Kylie Skin because there's only 160 characters in a text message. Let's see, happy birthday, Kylie. And actually, I saw this with one of our clients recently. They were doing a promo for the CEO's birthday or the founder's birthday. So think about that. If you have a notable founder, or even when you're founded, you can use that as a reason to celebrate. A lot of big brands will have a content calendar. That's a good way to look through and say, you type in Google, say, holidays in July, and then you pull all the holidays. You figure out, like, if it's National Hot Dog Day and you sell hot dogs, or you could sell hot dogs, definitely, use that, mix it into your campaign. For this one, Kylie Jenner, the famous sister of the Kardashians, it's her birthday, so they're obviously doing a promo for that. I could also see it for all the other Kardashians. I could see it for, National Skin Day, whatever they have. So it's just a good excuse, and it kind of mixes things up instead of just always saying, hey, today is Monday, here's 20% off. Today's Tuesday, here's 20% off. This kind of gives a reason to give 20% off, even though you don't really need a reason. Let's see, celebrate with her new 6. So again, I like when people mix things up. New is in capital letters rather than just, regular letters. 6-piece birthday lip balm set. Limited quantities available. Shop now. So again, remember I said earlier, it's nice to tell the consumer what's happening when you click on the link. Shop now at kylieskin.com. So they click it, they know they're going to be shopping now. They're not just going to go to her Instagram and look at photos. Again, line breaks would really help, improve the readability and then the, clickability or click-through rate of this message. Happy birthday, Kylie. Then I would put line break, so there's a space in between the characters. Celebrate with her new 6-piece birthday lip balm set, line break. I would do this. I would do shop now at kylieskin.com, line break, limited quantities available. Because limited quantities available, that's not really that important. It is important, it needs to be said, but it can be said at the very bottom of the message, like, text stop to end, help for help, things of that nature. Yeah, so that would be my advice. But again, good message. Next one, MVMT. I think these are a watch company. Yeah, watches, sunglasses, accessories. So MVMT, biggest sale of the year, and you can see they've capitalized it there. Ends soon. Use code LUCKY7 now. And then, because there's no link there, that means that the phone is link previewing. Now, there's no image because MVMT, it's kind of hard to say, MVMT has not formatted their web page that they're linking to allow the iPhone to figure out what image to pick and then to render that image. For them, it would increase conversions and click-through rates significantly if they optimize their web page, find a great picture of watches, sunglasses, and accessories all kind of in one, and then make sure that that is rendering on that page properly so the iPhone can pull it in and preview it. So it's like, wow, that's really cool, because I bet it looks really good, a lot of their products, but right now this is all just text, and text is pretty boring. So that'd be some advice for them. Other than that, looks good. I might use line breaks, use code Lucky17 now, put that on a different line break just so it breaks it up a little bit. Pretty good. Anyway, that is MVMT. All right, next one, an oldie but a goodie. Old Navy has been doing text messaging forever. So Old Navy, flex, stretch, and get. Oh, so this is great. They're using line breaks. It's kind of funny how many brands don't use line breaks. So Old Navy, flex, stretch, and get moving in 50% off active for the fam today. Now, as you can see here, they put for the family today. Feel free if you know your customers, if they abbreviate stuff or if they're cool with, a little slang, definitely use it. If they're not, if you're, an expensive high-end steak restaurant, use a proper, pronunciation and everything and all the words. But, Old Navy is kind of cool. So is like Target, Chipotle. I would say they could get away with things, to kind of mix it up. And the more you make it seem like it's a conversation with another person, the higher click-through rates, the messaging will be if it's on target with the brand kind of voice that the brand has. So gear up, then the link. Okay, this one's interesting. Gear up, and then they have the link. Details and exclusions, they have the link. I would try to put the details and exclusion at like the very, very bottom. You do not want them to click that because I bet it goes to just a text page with a bunch of detail. You just don't want them to click that. If possible, what I would do is gear up and then, details and exclusions apply, see website or something. Don't like link to the details and exclusion because people are going to click that message. And if that that website isn't optimized, it's going to essentially, they're not going to get a sale from them visiting the terms and conditions of that deal offer. So I put it at the very, very bottom, or don't even link to it all. Just make sure that on the page you're linking to where the offer is, that it has the terms and conditions. And then they put it then stop to end. Stop to end, it's not that clear what the instructions need to be, but I would be a little more, I would give a little more instruction. Stop to end, I understand what that means, but I would put, reply, stop to end, text, stop to end, or something like that. That's, that my mother or family member could understand, where this one, stop to end, like I could see how a lot of people wouldn't even know what the heck to do with that instruction. So make it very, very clear if you're going to use the stop to end, like some of the previous ones. Okay, next one is for Sigmatic. So they're using, this one's interesting. This one looks more like a square. I very rarely recommend a square image ratio. Either it's going to be really tall because you get more just space in the message, or it's going to be really wide. They've chosen the square. The problem with the square is, as you can tell, it's much smaller than the other ones. So it's okay, but if I were them for this kind of thing, I would optimize it either this way or this way, and then make the text as big as possible, because it's easier to read. But I do find it interesting. I like this strategy where people are starting to put text in the images. It's kind of a cool way to mix things up. So it's a quote in there. The quote is, "They are small but mighty, and I have just been blown away by the ingredients in them." So this is a consumer talking about, I'm guessing, for Sigmatic. But I like the color. That's another thing with images, GIFs, videos. You want to make it so that the color pops on the page. You definitely don't want to use a white background. You don't want to use a tan background. You want to use something like purple, green, red, something that just really stands out like this image. Now, great use of emojis here with all those stars. As you can see, it draws your attention. Try new high dose, ready to drink shots today. Now, reply stop to cancel. That makes much more sense. I could put reply stop to end if you need to save a little space. I'd put a line break in there, maybe a few line. Actually, I'd put a few. I'd put for Sigmatic, star, 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 line break, try new high dose, ready to shots today, click here to shop, the link, and then line break, reply stop to cancel. Again, use what you're doing on social media, email, all of those different channels. None of those channels I ever see brands just shove everything together in one kind of paragraph. They break it up. So make sure you're using those strategies for SMS. Again, great use of emojis there, and characters and things like that to mix things up. And then it's new is capitalized. Again, if you can capitalize things, it draws your attention to it. And then reply stop to cancel. That all looks good. Okay, next one is the Children's Place. I used to go there as a kid. This one, so they're interesting. They are not leading with their brand name, which is kind of standard nowadays, but not required. Theirs is kind of buried in the message, not buried as a negative, but just, it's further down the message. Now, that may seem like more personable kind of messaging, or maybe not. That's up to the brand to figure out kind of what they want to do. And it's good maybe to mix it up sometimes. Put it at the start, put it at the bottom, put it in the message. So there's shop $4.99 tees plus up to 60% off shorts and earn $10 place bucks online at the Children's Place. And then, as you can see, they're using line breaks, which makes it really easy to read. Reveal, and then they have the link, and then they have stop to quit. Again, maybe the same issue, I think, as Old Navy. Maybe make text stop or reply stop to end or something like that. So it's a little more clear how to opt out. Again, the goal is if somebody opts in, which they have to do for SMS marketing, if they want to opt out, you definitely want them to get out. You definitely don't want them having issues, replying quit or seeing, replying things and trying to get out and they can't get out, they get frustrated. You want people, if they want to get out of your campaign, to get out of the campaign very quickly, very easily. And we see a lot of times, if you make it very, very easy to get out of a campaign, the people opt back in right away because they're like, oh, I just wanted to test to see if I was locking myself into something. So the easier you make it to opt out, sometimes they'll opt back in. So you won't even lose that many people if you do make it easy for people to opt out. Okay, next one, and I think is the last one, is Round Table Pizza. So Round Table Pizza, again, not starting with their brand name. They have an interesting one. So they're asking a question right off the bat, and would be interesting too, because I'm kind of thinking through this. If I saw this in a message preview on my phone where I, pick up my phone and I see I got a text message, it would say lunch plans, ? And then it'd be a little like something. I might open that message way more than something that just says Round Table Pizza, because I might think it's my friend. I might be like, lunch plans, I didn't know I had lunch plan. And then I would click on it. Again, open rate, and then readability, and then click-through rate all generate more ROI for the brands. So lunch plans, ? And you could even do line break here to kind of separate out, really emphasize the lunch plans. Get a personal pizza and a 20-ounce drink for $7.99 at Round Table Pizza. Again, the brand is somewhere in there. You have to put the brand in the message because you have to identify who is sending the message. That's one thing that carriers really care about, is not misleading consumers. Order now. So I put that on a different line break. Order now they're using a bit.ly link so they can track how many people click that link. And then help, stop, call. They're using the same kind of format, it looks like, as the other one. I would put text help for help, stop for stop to end, or stop for stop, or something like that. And then when they reply help, then put all the phone number and things, because as you can see here, there's kind of two calls to action. There's either the clicking on the bit.ly link or clicking on the phone number. And I'm guessing, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing if I call that number, I can't order a pizza right away from my local place. I bet that's their support line. Now you're kind of angering consumers because they want to place an order. One call to action per text message, unless it is literally two call to actions like women shop now, men shop here, but don't have something like, order now, for your pizza and your 20-ounce drink, and or click this to call us. Unless it was click here to place the order, but I don't think that's what they're trying to go for. I think they're trying to say, if you need help with this, call this phone number. And as you can see, both are blue, so both would be considered kind of call to actions in the message. If you really have to put the phone number in there, drop it down a few things so it's not as prominent. So it's kind of like a sub call to action, I guess you could say. Anyway, that is the week in review. Again, my name is Derek Johnson from Tatango.com. All these text messages can be found on SMS Archives, where we've archived thousands of text messages, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Gives you a lot of inspiration, ideas for your own text message marketing campaign. If you like this video, if you want to hear more, drop us a comment below. Again, my name is Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. Have a good week, everyone.